Right, back on sewing the leather skirt. Took a 4-day break. If I'm being perfectly honest, I was massively procrastinating about doing this next bit. I've never sewn with leather. This is the first time doing it, and I've got to put zip in it, and honestly, absolutely terrifies me. So what do? Just ignore it, put it to one side for 4 days. So bit the bullet, come down to the sewing room. I'm going to get it done. I've watched a couple of things on how to install this zip in this skirt. Somebody says double-sided sticky tape, because obviously you can't pin it because it's leather, so it's going to leave holes in. And I've lost my clips. I got no idea where they are. They're in this chaos somewhere. So we're going to give this method a try. Is this going to work? Again, I don't really know, but we'll find out now. So you see this little finger tap here? This is my brain trying to figure out how on earth I'm going to get this zip in. So I start off by working out I'm going to have to sew up the back seam to where the zip's going to end. So I just mark the spot on where the zip is going to finish. Here, I then move on to sewing that back centre seam up to where the zip will finish. Then I pop a little bulldog clip to hold the leather in place because it seems to be shifting around. Find out the bulldog clip's in the wrong place, move the bulldog clip, go back to sewing it. Do what I think is the whole seam, only to find when I get to the end, my bobbin has run out. So after I'd finished playing bobbin roulette, refilled my bobbin, went back to sewing. This part actually took about 47 minutes of filming. All that lovely top stitching I had done on the waistband, all the under stitching I'd done on the waistband, earlier I had to undo because I couldn't, there wasn't enough room to put the zip in. So I undid that. Then I ran the double-sided tape along the open seam, folded them back to stick them down. I then put another layer of double-sided tape on top of the bit I just folded back, stuck down the closed zip on one side from the inside of the skirt. Doing this, I decided it wasn't working, so I decided to do it from the front instead. Yet another layer of double-sided tape to stick the lining down, only to discover the top of the waistband wasn't level. One side was higher than the other, so I had to reposition that side. I then realised I probably needed the lining seam sewn together, hopped onto the other machine and did that. In doing that, I managed to mangle the lining to the double-sided sticky tape. I then positioned the lining centrally over the front seam, secured it in place with a little bit of double-sided sticky tape. Couldn't use a zip foot to put this zip in, so I shifted my needle over as far as I could on the Teflon foot. At this point, I had a sneaky suspicion my machine was not going to like this at all. All the layers, it just wasn't going to cope, and I was right. The bulk at the top of the waistband wouldn't fit under the foot, let alone, and my machine just growled at me and stopped working. So I decided to stitch round the zip as far as my machine would allow, which at this point it made this noise. We are now at this point. Zip is in, yay! And she actually works, which is quite nice. Inside's okay-ish. All that's left to do now, do the zip back up, run the hem around the bottom of the leather, and the one thing I forgot to do earlier, which was, so I'd mentioned I was going to put a split in this skirt on this little bit of seam here, so I just need to I'm going to put in like a bar tack here, because I should have stopped sewing there, but I didn't, I forgot. I'm going to put a bar tack here to try and secure that seam so it doesn't come undone, and then I'm just going to unstitch this. Then I'm going to sew the seam round. Then I get to try it on, see if it actually fits, see if it looks okay, and hopefully I've got a new skirt. Go me. So to do the hem on the skirt, use the double-sided sticky tape method again. Worked really well, held the hem in place, allowed me to sew it quite nicely. I was just about to celebrate and go, woohoo, we are done. However, I neglected to remember that cutting the slit would mean the lining here also does not have a slit in. So I'm going to quickly cut that up there, fold it back, run a seam down it if I can. I might have to bind it and hope that that works. Hey, guess what I did? I made a skirt that fits, sort of. Here's the finished article. Let's go all the way back here. Funky yellow tights to boot. So actually, it's not too bad a fit. We are a tad baggy around here. This obviously has stretched that shape while sewing, but actually fit's not bad. I made something good. So, thoughts on this? Was it easy? No, it was not. It was probably one of the most difficult sewing projects I've tackled, mainly because I've never sewed with leather before on a sewing machine. So yeah, big learning experience. One thing I've taken away from this, plan stuff properly. I didn't plan this at all. I went, I want to make a leather skirt, tried to make a leather skirt, had to redo errors, rethink things along the line, plan it out. Honestly, makes life a lot easier. But yeah, overall, very pleased.